Hello, my name is Ali Ayala. Welcome to Videowaves. Today we will have Bruce Ward, a local photographer. This is Videowaves.
Hello and welcome to Videowaves. I'm your host, Eduardo Toro. And today we have with us Bruce J. Ward, videographer, photographer, and performance artist. So thank you for being here.
Thank you, Eduardo. It's a pleasure to be here.
All right, and you do photography out there in the real world. And so can you tell us a little bit how you got started in photography?
Well, I've been interested in photography since I was very young and took a lot of pictures, and what I think sealed it for me was when I was working at the steel, and the steel company was going downhill, and I carried a pocket Instamatic with me and took images of what I was doing in the steel at that time. And now with the steel being closed, there's a resurgence of interest for those photographs. Yeah. So I think that turning point for me, photographically wise.
Yeah, and I'm assuming people see these images and they're and because it's closed now, they can't actually walk in there and see these things happening. So people are very, very interested in seeing these images.
Right, and unless you were there and were doing it, you really don't have the ability to understand what took place without these images. So they're very important images.
Wow, that's great that you have them. So it educates people. Mm-hmm. And do you have any other work that you're working on now, and any other projects?
Yes, I took a third place in the Southside Historic Photo Competition last year, and I'm also working on a project for Historic Bethlehem with another photographer, Mr. Ed Leskin, who is doing portraits of steelworkers. Mm-hmm. And that's going to open at the Gundy House in historic Main Street on June 22nd of this year. And that's going to run for a year. And it's going to include portraits of steelworkers, video excerpts, and it's going to explain the steel way of life.
Yeah. Well, that's great then. And so, where besides where you just mentioned, can people find your work if they were interested in finding more?
Well, I have a studio at the Banana Factory, Eduardo. I'm on the third floor, Studio 350, and I share that studio with my dear friend and my sweetheart, Miss Kim Hogan, a glass mosaic artist. And you can find us there on a first Friday, 6 o'clock in the evening, the first Friday of the month. Mm-hmm. And you can see my photography, and you can see Miss Kim's mosaics as well.
Oh, that's great. So she doesn't do photography, she does mosaics instead?
She does mosaics, and she also does watercolor and portraiture as well.
Oh, that's great. That's fantastic. So what advice would you give to someone who wanted to get into photography?
Eduardo, I would tell them to take a class on film photography. Mm-hmm. Because without the film background, don't have an appreciation for the art as well. Film photography, I believe, is two arts, because there's the art of taking the image and then the art of developing that image in the darkroom. So I would say take a film class, a film photography class.
Specifically film photography.
Yes, and then that way you gain an appreciation that digital photographer needs to look for more in depth with his digital photography. Because when you use a digital camera, you can just erase all of your mistakes, but when you're taking film, you won't know what you've taken until you develop it in the darkroom. So I think that's a good way to gain real insight in photography.
Oh, that's fantastic. So I would like to thank you for being here on Videowaves with us and talk about your photography and your experiences. So thank you very much.
Eduardo, my pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
Okay, and this has been Videowaves.